Welcome back, everybody. This is Mark 175 of Geeks Chasing Squirrels Across the Multiverse. My name is Greg. I am the Bat Daddy 52, and we have 2 episodes of Bad Batch to talk about this week. And speaking of doubles, you're going to get 2 episodes of Geeks Chasing Squirrels Across the Multiverse this week on your podcatcher of your choice. Not because we recorded an extra one, but because I forgot to upload last week's episode. So I'm going to play that off like you're getting 2 this week. So there you go. You get 2 episodes dropped this week for Geek Chasing Squirrels Across the Multiverse.
Two for the price of none.
That's right. 2 for the price of none. So I am joined. I got a room full of heroes here. Some of my best friends. Ross, how you doing, buddy?
Tired. It's Friday. I've been home for 45 minutes, folks, from work. So,
Committed.
Bless.
Sarah, what's up?
I think I'm trying to fight off a cold. I don't have time for this shit. I'm about to go on vacation. I do not have time for this.
No, I hate getting sick right before vacation. Oh, it's terrible. You got to ignore it.
Well, considering the fact that let's see, for the past 4 weeks, for the most part, I've been traveling. So I've been in airports. I've been around too many people, and
You were always traveling. Always traveling.
This is kind of like a weird time. Typically, I don't, because my territory I can, is basically like a couple of days, because it's really the Carolinas. But it just happened to be extenuating circumstances. So yeah, it's I usually don't travel this much. So
I hear you. Well, next travel is going to be for vacation, right?
Oh yes, that's just gonna pack up the car, pack up the youngins, pack up everything other than the dogs. We're gonna board them, so they'll have their little time to probably not sleep for a week. So.
Hey, I'm on vacation every single.
That's right.
But the bad thing about it is, I'm still gonna have to take my work computer, because if I don't get rid of emails, my storage for my email is this big. So
there's a trick I can teach you, and it is auto delete. No one talks about it. It's fantastic.
Hook me up, man, because honestly, I have to empty mine every 3 months, because there's 6,000 emails in there every 3 months.
And the thing about
I check my email every day, but I don't delete my email every day.
I don't have a choice. I mean, I only have so much space, and it's stupid, but
yeah.
Oh
well, y'all, we got a short show this week. 1 show ending, 2 shows continuing, and then I don't know what we're gonna do next week. I think next week maybe we'll do a little Agent Elvis. I know a few of us have watched a little bit of that. Pretty good show. Something I want to talk about at least for a little bit.
Ted Lasso? No,
you can talk about Ted Lasso if you want, because I still do not have Apple TV, so I cannot view Ted Lasso. But go ahead. Let's talk about it. Let's go into stuff we're watching, and then we'll go into news. How about that? What's the stuff we're watching? Ross, Ted Lasso, obviously.
Yeah, I have not watched this week's episode because it's been a crazy busy week doing the weekend thing and waiting. I really want to go see Dungeons and Dragons. I may do that this weekend if I can squeeze the time in. Oh, let's see. Oh, and I have got to start Yellow Jackets, because like I said, I'm on that Yellow Jackets game. So I think they have 2, if not 3 episodes out now to watch.
I saw a preview for Yellow Jackets the other day, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna watch that. That looks like something I would enjoy. I want to watch Yellow Jackets. We're gonna see what happens with it.
Pretty good.
But yeah.
Beyond that, like I said, I don't know if I said last week, I did watch the first murder mystery movie. I'm waiting for the second one came out today, so maybe I'll get up on that.
Murder mystery movie?
Yeah, the Adam Sandler and Jennifer Aniston flick.
I gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So the second one came out today, so planned ahead to watch the first one because I never watched it. It was actually pretty decent. I'm real hit and miss with Adam Sandler. I grew up when everyone really loved him, but at the same time, his humor was very it was either here or here with me. So this movie did a pretty good job of putting him pretty well in the center for me. So I appreciated that.
Yeah. Yeah, I get what you're saying about the Adam Sandler stuff. Even some of his new stuff is kind of hit or miss for me. It's either pretty funny and really and good, or just I'm just like, it wasn't really my cup of tea. Funny is I know that we grew up in like the Adam Sandler, Chris Farley, David Spade days, back in that time. I'd like to consider myself to be a Tommy Boy expert. And my wife tried to challenge my knowledge the other day with the ROADs scene. And she was like, "Oh, that's in Tommy Boy." And I said, "No, that's a Black Sheep." She said, "No, I bet you that's in Tommy Boy." I said, "No, ROADs is in Black Sheep." So we turned on Black Sheep. I won. Just saying. I'm a Tommy Boy expert.
Look, woman, you can stick your head up a bull's ass.
Right. I can get a better look at T-bone if you stick a head up a bull's ass, but a relative to word for it. There you go. So now, great movies. That was a different time in comedy because that was like Happy Gilmore, Billy Madison, Tommy Boy, Coneheads. Oh my God, Coneheads! All kinds of fantastic comedy movies in that time. But what have you been watching, Ross? You've been watching that stuff. I haven't been watching anything new this week. It's almost time for NBA playoffs. There's a lot of NFL coverage going on right now, plus the shows we watch and life. I just haven't really watched anything else, so there's been nothing new for me this week. Sarah, anything new for you?
I think I'm only like maybe 10 minutes shy of finishing The Banshees of Inisherin. I think that's how you say it. That movie is wild. That was was it Colin Farrell and all I can think of is Mad Eye Moody.
Oh, that one.
Yeah, and
yes.
Oh God, the kid from Eternals or the Joker we never saw. That was a really cool movie until it got to one scene down to the end, and I'm watching it on the plane, and I'm like, Sarah, keep your shit together. Don't cry. Don't cry. Don't cry. Of course, I had to do with animals. I'm like, don't cry. Don't cry. Don't cry. I'm like, I'm fine. I was like, shit, why you gotta throw this into it? So, but it was a pretty wild movie. It's a pretty wild movie. It kind of hits a little close to me too because it deals with friendships, and you got this one friend that decides he don't want to be friends with his buddy anymore, and I kind of feel that on a certain level. But for the most part, I mean, it's absolutely gorgeous because it's like on one of the islands off the I guess Ireland or whatnot, but it's gorgeous. I'm thinking I want a vacation there. I mean, they're like in these I don't even know what the time period is, what the year is. I'm thinking like one of the world wars or whatnot because there's like things going on in the mainland. But because it's very simple, the houses, that pub, I'm like, that is my jam right there. Just walk in, get your pint, you're good to go. But yeah, I recommend seeing it. I mean, it's interesting to say the least. So I'm hoping I'm trying to
big five, right?
Pull it together so I can finish it.
That was one of the big Oscar noms.
Yeah, it was. But I mean, I wanted to see it anyways, and it's just finally had the opportunity to. It's like one of those things that's on your list. So and yeah, I think that's it because I think last week I watched Nope, so that's about the only really movies and whatnot that I've actually watched recently. So yeah, the kids get on these little kicks where they want to do something. Like right now, Brian and Claire are upstairs watching The Walking Dead. That's what they do when I'm not here.
Well, so you're not a Walking Dead person though, right? Like you don't like zombies? Okay, but Ross,
we've had this conversation before.
Right? Yeah, I was pretty sure you're not a zombie person.
No.
Are you gonna watch Walking Dead City, Ross?
I did Walking Dead.
I don't think I am.
I think I watched. I didn't watch up until Negan. Like I fell off before the Negan thing, but I think I fell off right before it, and then everyone was like hardcore in that and back into the Walking Dead. I knew quite a bit of people that did the Fear the Walking Dead show.
Yeah, wasn't that great?
I didn't hear a whole lot about that either. Like, here's the thing: like, I have a good idea, unless someone comes out and like really changes the genre. I have a pretty good idea of like what the zombie show is going to do, and you can't really reinvent that wheel a whole lot, right? So, I may give it a couple of episodes, see what it's about. But I gotta tell you, at the end of the day, it goes back to the writing and the characters and the actual actors who are portraying them, and whether or not that's good. Because I've watched a lot of things that have gone on for way too long, but I was also like, emotionally invested. You bring something to the table that is, I guess, worth someone's time. I tell you about shows all the time that I'm really hardcore about because I'm like they're fantastic. Watch it, like it's worth it. Like get invested with it. And there's some shows that everyone else is like, it's not worth it. Fear of the Walking Dead was something I didn't jump into. The Walking Dead was something I fell off. I'm not sure how long this could keep my attention.
Yeah, I agree with you. And honestly, I feel like they may have already lost my attention. Like, and I feel like that may be kind of what you're saying right there is like,
Yeah.
I liked Walking Dead, but it got to a certain point where it was like, okay, like this is Flash syndrome. Like, when's he going to be faster? Type thing. I just kind of started to fall off of it and gotten like not get excited with it because like it's the same thing every single time. You can only tell this story so many times. Like they're beating a dead horse, and then like Fear the Walking Dead came out and it was like, okay, they're trying to reboost this series, but it was still the same kind of thing. And now I'm gonna get this, and I'm just like, wow, I just got a really good zombie show that's a different concept that I think I like. I think going back to Walking Dead, any type of Walking Dead, is probably not going to be good for me. Like, don't ruin this Robert Kirkman masterpiece for me. Just like let it be and stop with The Walking Dead. It was a great series when it came out. Let's let it lie now.
Sarah, do you have like a post-apocalyptic show that you like that isn't zombies, but something that makes you, like the government falls, like something like, well, post-apocalyptic. I
The
mean,
100, something like that.
yeah, there's so many shows out there that transpire or that take place when something like a big event happens. Like whether like global warming, like the world's nuked, or like like all sorts of like end of world scenarios. And so I remember prime example. Revolution was one that I really, really loved. I really got into that show, and it had Giancarlo Esposito in it. That was the one to where they invented something, and it basically sucked the energy out of the world, and like so you couldn't have like electronic energy in the world. So there were no cell phones, no TV, no lights, no anything that required power. It was gone. Like it did not work anymore. And so that was a post-apocalyptic show that had legs because it could tell a story as long as they wanted to until they figured out how to solve the problem. But zombies, I mean, like zombies decay, right? Like they just keep looking worse and worse and worse, and which means that they keep losing energy too, and eventually that problem is just a bunch of skeletons running around. Like like it's the world's worst biology class is essentially like what it will turn into. I just don't understand how you keep telling that story without restarting it again. Like, where were these people when the zombie apocalypse started? And then, 25 years later, they end up dying. But, so for some reason, their little clique survived. Muted, bro.
Yeah, I was saying there's got to be an endpoint to it at some point in time. That's the only thing about these zombie shows that get me. I'm trying to think about, for me, if there's any apocalyptic shows that I liked, that I enjoyed. I really liked Falling Skies, even though it did not finish strong. That they lost their funding and it got cut at the end of the series, and they ended up cutting the series short, and that the ending just wasn't done that well. But I loved that series, the first 2 or 3 seasons at least. Last Ship, did y'all ever see that one?
Oh yeah.
That was a good one. They did a really, really good job with that one. But after like 2 seasons of that, it kind of got away from the whole apocalyptic thing and got into like America
That show
versus the rest of the
No,
world.
that show did have more than 2 seasons.
Yeah, I think
there's
it's like 3 or
another
4
show
now.
that came out right around the same time that only had like 1 or 2 seasons. That was I thought was better personally, but same kind of premise.
Yeah, but beyond that, I can't really think of any kind of like apocalyptic shows. that I've seen. Goodness gracious, all my dogs are going nuts. I'm sorry.
That's why I was asking Sarah. What's Sarah? Have you watched anything that has been along those lines?
Apocalyptic type things, really. As far as shows, no. Now, movies, possibly yes. I do like end of the world type movies. Like I'm, big on Day After Tomorrow and oh God, what was the other one? Oh, that kind of stuff because it's like, and of course, my boy Gerard with Geostorm and all that kind of stuff, and it's just that kind of thing is
not
always
sure if I watched
interesting.
that one,
Yeah, it's a wild one too. It's it's anything that's like, I guess I'm more of like not really the post-apocalyptic, but it's like just like how how the world reacts to if we go through like another ice age, if we go through like another climate shift, that kind of thing. So that's the ones I'm kind of drawn to. Like I said, if anything is like, 'cause that's why The Last of Us was like really. Otherwise, if Brian hadn't pushed me, otherwise I don't think I would have watched it. I mean, I'm sure you guys would have talked me into it, but I don't think I would have watched it from the very beginning.
Wow.
And plus the fact that it's Pedro Pascal's getting a lot of love off of it too. This is like his time to shine.
He is. He's the Will Smith of this this year period.
I don't know if I'd put that on him. I don't know.
He's like The Rock, Will Smith. Everybody wants him in everything. He's all over everything. Yeah, once you're on Saturday Night Live and you run the Daily Show circuit, yeah, you're pretty much that guy.
But he's so goofy. That's what I love about him. He's so goofy. He's just like, he would like fit in with us like 100%.
I wish he would come to GalaxyCon. That'd be awesome. So right now, speaking of chasing a squirrel right here, Sarah, I told you the other day I'm trying to decide between 3 days at GalaxyCon or 2 days at GalaxyCon and meeting somebody. And Patrick Warburton is there, and I really would love to meet Patrick Warburton.
Oh, I saw Stephen Amell's coming back too.
Yeah, there's the list gets bigger every single day.
Well, that's what's going to happen, dude. You wait till it's not till July. You wait till probably, especially May and June.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it's going to get wild.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to get wild.
But what do you think? 3 days and no meet and greet, or 2 days and meet the Tick?
Dude, you know what my answer is going to be.
I mean, I love Patrick Warburton so much. Everything he's in is so fantastic. And what's funny is I'm not a big guy. I'm like 5'7.5", 5'8". Patrick Warburton's like 6'4". So like it's going to be a funny meet and greet. But it'll be.
Well, like I said, put it this way. I mean,
what's the sidekick's name?
For Flea
Arthur.
Or for Tick?
Yeah, is it Flea? Was that the other one?
Arthur, I think. Was
Arthur. He's the moth. You talking the moth?
That's right.
The
Yeah.
moth. Yeah, the white one.
That's Arthur.
Yeah.
I can't tell you the actor's name though. Greg, I went out and like I said, I got the Cadillac ticket for myself because I wanted to make absolutely sure.
The VIP pass, the fast passes, and all that good stuff. Yeah. They only offer that with a 4-day though. They don't offer that with a 3-day or a 2-day. Like you have to buy either a 4-day VIP, fast pass, everything, or they don't even offer a 2-day pass. Like it's either buy a 3-day pass or buy days individually. Yeah, I know, man. Yeah, I want to splurge. Trust me, I definitely want to splurge. But I don't know. It's gonna be fun.
We might be able to talk. I might get you in for an extra day. How about that?
I don't know. We'll see. So,
because like I said, I got passes for all me and my crowd. So I got the Cadillac. I got the next one, and then I've got 2 other ones.
Okay.
So I make sure that the kids we didn't have to go at least one day.
Well, I do know that Friday of the show, we got to be doing Geeks Chasing Squirrels live from Sarah's house. At least 2 of us will be there, so we'll be doing it live from 2 locations at least. That'll be fun.
Yeah, that'll be wild. I gotta get cracking on my costume, my cosplay over here though.
I'm not sure if I'm gonna be able to do mine. I want to make sure my daughter can do hers, and that's more important than me doing mine. So we're gonna see what happens, but we'll figure it out. Anyway, long way still, a few months till
yes.
Comic or GalaxyCon Raleigh this year. Let's start talking about shows. Unless you got some news, Ross, do you have anything you want to talk about? I haven't been paying attention to anything.
I mean, there's been
there's
you guys have been talking about all that Jonathan Majors stuff.
I was gonna say beyond the Jonathan Majors stuff, I really haven't noticed anything. And it's just because that just pops up
Yeah, I'm not really wanting to give that a whole lot of light. That's
No.
another one of those things that like people just want to talk about until they figure out what the truth is, and the truth isn't nearly as wonderful as all the other internet speak that they were talking about was. So,
All right.
prime
Look-
example, uh, 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 God, Gwyneth Paltrow. There you go. Prime example of her
With
like
her
this
little
whole entire
lawsuit,
stupid thing. Yeah,
the little skiing lawsuit.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you're talking about? That's
Yeah.
hilarious. Look, with the Jonathan Majors thing, I don't know enough about it to be able to make a fair assessment on anything going on. I just hope that whatever the truth is comes out, and whoever is at fault for anything, be it her, him, or anything else, that they are held accountable for whatever they did. I'm not saying anybody did anything. I'm just saying for anything that's discovered. And likewise with the Gwyneth Paltrow stuff. Like, that is so funny. It's so hilarious. So she's suing a guy for sexual harassment because he ran into her on a ski slope.
No,
Is
no,
that what I'm
no,
understanding?
no.
Or she's
Yeah, that
saying
was kind of like her
she
defense.
she felt like she was
She's
harassed.
being sued
Okay.
because she ran into she didn't run into it. The official report actually is that he ran into her, and so that whole thing got twisted backwards. And what made the internet go crazy was, once the guy knew that it was Gwyneth Paltrow, he was like, "Well, I have a lick of my 5 seconds of being famous right here, right now," and so he basically sued her. That's why she only countersued him for $1 and all of her legal fees, because it's like, now we're gonna make a point. Like, now you're trying to come at me with
I don't want money from you, but you're
all
gonna pay for this
bullshit.
shit.
So we're gonna make this real fun.
Well, initially he came after her for like a multi-million-dollar or whatever, and then it got knocked down to like a couple 100,000 or something along those lines. So it's like, really?
It's so funny too, because people were giving her shit because she wore like a $15,000 necklace and like $65,000 necklace and like $15,000 shoes. I'm like, okay, cool. If she can afford that shit and that's hers, let her wear it. Why does that matter what she wore to court? Like, it's
Because
so
it
funny
gets
the
the
things people
people
get wrapped up
talking,
with.
man.
Yeah, it's just so funny. Now, don't get me wrong. I think it's really stupid to spend $65,000 on a necklace and $15,000 on a pair of shoes. But you know what? That's not my money. It doesn't affect me.
Yeah.
So if she wants to do that, more power to her.
Some of these folks, they just live they just live on a different level. And
Yeah,
just no,
that's their thing.
Yeah.
She puts jade eggs in her hoo-hoo and all that good stuff. So, like, she can do her thing.
When my goop business takes off, I'm gonna be doing some stupid shit.
She sells goop and jade eggs. But
I remember years ago when that started, I remember looking at that website and I was like, what in the hell is this? It was wild. I hadn't been back on it since. I just hadn't even thought about it. I was like, man, because you're always looking like these. She had some kind of cleanse or whatnot then, and I'm like, dude, they ain't no way in hell. Like, what?
She sells some really weird shit, and then like I think about it all the time. I'm like, there's no way that she'd be able to do this if she wasn't, an attractive and a talented female actress. But then she's on shows like Shark Tank, and I'm like, well, maybe she is business savvy. But then again, maybe the Shark Tank people that are on there are just a ploy as well. Like, who knows? But maybe she's a very business savvy person. I know she has a lot of different businesses of a lot of crazy shit. But I don't know all her stuff. She may have some pretty normal shit too, for all I know.
Well, I can tell you, I didn't have any news, and I didn't want to put that much spotlight on Gwyneth Paltrow because, as much as I do appreciate her being in, Pepper Potts and Iron Man, I try to contain my Gwyneth Paltrow consumption throughout the week. She's just been hardcore in the news. Really, I think we're kind of going through a little bit of a lull because Star Wars is trying to bite their tongue with wanting to fix what they, the fans really felt like they screwed up with the whole sequel trilogy. Star Trek is on a high right now, and I think they've always played their hand very, very carefully and I think that Star Trek lets their material speak for itself, which I think is a great way of, that's my way, right? Let whatever it is that you do speak for itself. Bring it to the table and be like, here's what I got, like it or not, and everyone's loving it. Marvel's got no news because we're sitting on waiting for a movie. DC still trying to figure out how they're gonna unveil their 10-year plan for you.
Yeah, you never know what's going on.
And we haven't really got any small news, so
okay.
We are definitely in the post Oscars. I think we are in April now as of tomorrow. So we're going to start ramping up for a big summer blockbuster, but I'm ready to see what happens.
Yeah. You know what's funny is you were talking about, Ross, a moment ago how you wanted to go to the movies, and I'm actually kind of like more inclined to go see Dungeons and Dragons than I was to go see Shazam or 65. And don't get me wrong, I kind of want to see 65, but like I'm with you. I want to go to the movies like really bad. Like I haven't been in a while. My wife said that the other day too. And Dungeons and Dragons is really the only thing in theaters right now. I mean, 65 is still in theaters. I wouldn't mind going to seeing that.
Something else came out. I think 2 movies came out, right?
I don't know. So White Chocolate Espresso asks, have we seen the preview for the new Fallen Order game, the trailer? I have not. Have I played the first one? Yes, I have the first one, and I've played the first whopping 20 minutes of it and haven't played anything else on it. But I do own it. I own the limited edition one, and just haven't gone around. Was it John Wick? Is that what you're talking about, Ross?
No. I mean, Sarah's seen John Wick. If you were asking that question,
yeah,
she's been in that theater camp. So,
well, the Super Mario Brothers comes out soon too. It comes out Wednesday.
There you go. That's one that I know I want to see. I was talking with one of my wife's friends about that the other day about taking the kids to go see it. So we may end up taking the kids to go see it, even though it's not just a kid movie. It looks like a fun movie, regardless.
Oh yeah,
but that might be a
the game came out when we were kids. I'm pretty sure we're safe.
Countryside Cinemas, Ross. I'm gonna take the whole family to movies for $20 and get popcorn and large drinks for everybody. $20.
Nice.
That's how we roll. But we're talking old school, like auditorium, elementary school
sticky
auditorium
floor
seats. Yeah,
yeah,
it's okay. It's a movie theater. It's a movie theater. Yep. I have a lot of memories there. Let's put it that way. A lot of memories.
I have seen the trailer. Basically, it's the what do you call it, the theatrical trailer, and the beyond gameplay trailer for the new Fallen Order game. I'm not sure that I'm going to get a chance to play it, but I played the first one all the way through, and it is the only game that I've really played, much less all the way through, in probably like a decade. So I will definitely. I've been keeping my eyes peeled on it because I'm a big fan of everything that game has brought to Star Wars. I love all these little tidbits. We'll talk about it more as we talk about the shows. But if you haven't had a chance to see the trailer, I'll send you guys the link whenever we get done. But it's a really good. I mean, watching Cal Kestis just whoop butt, and I mean, like, it's so good. I mean, like it. Good Star Wars is good Star Wars. You know it when you see it. And I think that's a thing, right? And so this is good Star Wars.
So why don't they just make the Fallen Order games into a movie? Because it's a great story. Just make it into a movie. There's so much content out there. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'd rather see a Bane trilogy or Revan trilogy, but I just don't get Star Wars. I don't get it. They have so much juicy content to pull from. And they decide not to. They want to reinvent the wheel.
All I can tell you is that they try so many different angles, and if this is working for them, because I'm guaranteeing you that is a shoe-in win for them in the gaming department. Why not keep that revenue coming in? Yes, you can build on it and have double the fans, not double the fans, but the fans that also watch Star Wars and play Star Wars, much less the ones that just want to see a new Star Wars movie, because everyone is like foaming at the mouth for a new Star Wars movie.
Mm-hmm.
It just gets tricky with timelines and stuff like that.
Right. Don't get me wrong. I get confused watching Bad Batch and then watching Mando. Like the timelines mess me up. Like I have to take a second and like stop and think about where I'm at in this story. So it can definitely get confusing, which is why I think they need to move out of it completely. Go back 5,000 years. You know,
I'm not
Absolutely.
completely opposed to it. It just I definitely want stories all over the place.
right?
And we talk about a problem with zombie flicks. Once the zombie apocalypse happens, you're essentially on like a timetable. There's only so long that all of humanity will survive, much less A or die. So when you have something like that, it's on a timeline. When you start trying to disperse all of this possibility of telling all these different types of stories, if you don't stay in like a certain area, it does become extremely difficult. And we're not. I mean, you want to talk about from the prequel to the sequel, you're 60, 100 years with the stories that they've told right now. Like they've ran quite past and quite prior to like the decades that they've told these stories in.
Yeah, probably close to 100 years because you're looking at Anakin from 6 to about, I don't know when he would have died. Give him his 50s, maybe.
Oh,
And then
as Vader, yeah.
and then you're looking at Luke probably till about 50s. So you're probably looking at close to 100 years of
Yeah.
storyline in there. Yeah. That
Seems
makes
like
sense.
everything we're watching now is it's right between Revenge of the Sith and New Hope. Everything we're watching right now, pretty much.
Yeah.
It's like in different little
In
increments.
Bad Batch. in the shows that they've given out, like Mandalorian is not, right? So since the Mandalorian takes place in a slightly different era, we keep making things more difficult for fans to follow. So what up?
Yep. 10 Tizzy in the house saying what's up to everybody. Beer Gang saying what's up, Sarah.
Hi.
What's up, 10? Love you being
Hey,
here,
10.
man. I was just talking to him on Discord the other day. I'm starting trying to get cooler, get on stuff like Discord with that and for the C3 podcast, and that I play a game that has a Discord chat that's really fun to get involved with. So trying to get involved, be a little more hip for my kids. My kids are getting older, and I've got to get younger as they get older. So,
Do I have to ask what game this is?
Dice Throne. It's a RPG dice throwing
gotcha,
game.
gotcha.
Yeah, really, really fun game. And I'm creating my own character.
Wait.
Matter of fact, I'm creating Red
This
Bull.
is a game that you're on Discord
Red Hood.
for? This is a non-digital game?
No. It's not a digital game. It's that there is a community of
Gotcha. Okay.
of homebrewed characters for people who play the game because it's a Kickstarter game, and then people who also make homebrew characters. Because what it is, it's like I roll, I attack you, you defend. We add up the score, then you attack, and then you go back and forth till somebody's down to 0. It was a Kickstarter a few years ago, and then Marvel picked up the game, and there's like 8 Marvel characters now. It's like Doctor Strange, Black Widow, Loki, Thor, Black Panther, Miss Marvel. Actually, maybe only be 6. I think that's it. But there's Marvel characters on top of the other characters they have. So like I've been working on creating my own character because in this homebrew community, you can create your own characters, which is pretty cool. So like I've got, let me see if I can show you this. Where is it at? Window. Oh, here we go. So this is what I'm creating right here. And I've been working on this. And it's funny because like no matter how many times you think you've got it perfect, you don't. And it's great to have a community on Discord where I can run this by them because once I've created the character, I've got to then test play it. And once I test play it, then it becomes if everybody agrees that it's not like an OP or an overpowered character, then it can go to the database. So it's pretty cool. I downloaded Jinx and made Jinx, and I downloaded a Vader Anakin combination and play those. Those are my 2 homebrew characters I made. Downloaded. Red Hood is the character that I'm making, and then there's all kinds of fun characters to play with. It's a really fun game. I would recommend checking it out if you get a chance. It's about $30 for 2 characters, and they come in pairs. So $30, you can start out 2 characters and play with like that. It's a really fun time. But if you're into dice throwing games, it's a good time. Big squirrel. Sorry.
I'm not in the dice throwing games. I don't know about this community. I don't know about this world, apparently. So
I'm telling you, man, it's a fun time. Because people can claim to be good at dice throwing games, but it really all comes down to chance because you're throwing effing dice. Like there's no skill involved in it. It's just throwing a dice. So Let's see. 10 wants to know why you're showing people your bed, man. You throwing out some hints?
This ain't my bed. This has been a massive,
extra bed.
massive,
There you go.
massive guest room I've been working on. But I mean, people. Never mind. I'm not gonna say that. We're just gonna glance right over that.
Well, we managed to stretch out 30 minutes or almost 40 minutes before we even started talking about a show. Do y'all want to go ahead and start breaking down some of these shows we got? Because we only have 3 this evening.
Yeah.
4, I guess 3 Star Wars shows.
Yeah.
3 shows that are in the Star Wars universe, I guess I should say. And 1 Star Trek. You want to do Star Wars first, then we'll go Star Trek?
What do you think, Sarah? Make the call.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, let's do it. All right. Well, let's do start with Bad Batch then. We got a double episode this week. This is the finale of the season, correct?
It is.
And it answers the question for me, is Bad Batch coming back? And I would say, based on the way this series left us, yes, it's coming back. How about this? If it doesn't, I'm going to be pretty pissed. I'm going to be pretty pissed if this doesn't come back and it just leaves us on where we left at with this. So
I need answers.
Yeah, I definitely need answers. And I felt like I was going to start to get them in these 2 episodes. But I tell you what, man, Foggy's got to be listening to me. Foggy. Yeah, not Foggy. Who is the Star Wars guy?
Filoni.
Yeah, Filoni. F's. That's what got me. Filoni's Filoni, Favreau. They got to be listening to me, man, because I know a couple weeks ago I complained about how like Bad Batch and Mando was kind of getting boring for me and falling off. And ever since then, it's been phenomenal. I personally think Bad Batch closed really, really well this week. I think the story like had me on the edge of my seat, wondering what's happening next. I can't wait to go to the next episode. And I'm excited to see where they come into next season at with this, like where they left us. So, Sarah, what say you?
Eh?
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying this. Like, there was a little bit of emotion in these, especially that last.
There was definitely, yeah.
I don't know. It's like the stakes are higher. I mean, finally getting to where we're getting to the meat of a few things, and you've got that. I know you said that there's been like filler episodes throughout the season, but there's been some meaty ones as well. Yeah, I 100% agree with you, because if they don't come back with something, I'm gonna throw hands, because you've got to have a resolution, some form or fashion. I don't care if it's going to be animated, if it's going to be live action. I don't care. Somebody's got some explaining to do.
Yeah, Ross.
I thought the possibility of losing Tech was absolutely crazy. Like, we are definitely led to believe that he's gone. I'm not in the camp that he's 100% gone, because they do some weird crap with all of this stuff. I want to say though, I know, but it's a Star Wars rule. If you don't see someone actually die, like if you don't see them being burned at the pyre, at the stake, like those types of things, like then they're not dead. So, I will say that the work that they have done this season to get me up and down all over the place with feeling that the Bad Batch was worth the watch, because I remember you guys definitely didn't feel like at the beginning that you were like, I don't even know if I want to watch the Bad Batch.
Mm-hmm.
Rightfully so. However, tell me now that you're not like, damn, this show has done more for the animation in the show and the types of shows that I expect animation going forward than I ever thought was possible. I didn't think they were going to come out like reinventing the animation game, but I do think that the detail kept getting better. The angles, like they're making cinematic shots in this thing that are phenomenal. Like, I'm completely on board with. With that, they still do some very basic rudimentary crap that I'm not 100% with either. But the dynamic of the animation is fantastic, and the storytelling has definitely brought me around to a point to where I was emotionally invested in the story as an animated story. And I can say that with a bunch of Star Wars things. I can say that with a bunch of animation, but I'm not sure I can say that with a good handful of animation shows. But I felt like they really brought it home in the end. You know, they gave you they brought Tarkin Con 2023, well, whatever year they were in, long time ago, far, far away. We got to see him. We got to see a whole bunch of the transition between Clone Wars Republic or the Galactic Republic to the actual Galactic Empire.
Mm-hmm.
We got to see politics, which I love in Star Wars. I love seeing how they do that. We got to see why clones are better than animals, because apparently that's all that they want to treat them as. I mean, there's so many different things that we got in this season that were absolutely fantastic. So
Yeah.
I hate being left on the cliffhanger, but it is typically what shows do.
Yeah. Well, and especially when you know they're coming back. So like I said, I don't know any news about Bad Batch coming back for a third season, but there's no way the way they ended, they don't plan on coming back at least. One thing I do like about what they're doing with this series is they're giving a little more credence to the prequel movies. Because part of the issue people had with Palpatine coming back and being cloned and everything else was nobody said anything about that. Like that was just something that at the moment they felt like they just made up right then. And honestly, they may have just made it up right then. But at least now they're starting to lay that foundation for that actually happening. They're giving you the storyline behind that. And as long as they can fill the storyline in solidly, then I'm okay. I didn't care about Omega at all from the beginning. I didn't like her through most of the series. As it comes to the end of this season, I do like the character more, and I see a purpose for her, and I want to know more about what she's about.
Yeah, you see growth. You see growth in the character, which is what I wanted. It was necessary 100%. Because if there was no growth, then I mean, like, it's a pointless character.
Right, and I didn't think I was going to get that honestly until a few weeks ago. To be honest, like they did a good job of making me not like this character for quite a while, and then all of a sudden, just they started making her into a more relevant term. Even though I do feel like, and we're going to start bringing down this episode, these two episodes, I do feel like she was kind of a dumbass at the end. But I mean, she's going to get caught. This whole thing. It's like you can get away, and you decide not to, and then all of a sudden you're going to hold all of them up with your crossbow. It's like, okay, there's like 400 of them and one of you. Like, let's be smart here. But that's Omega. So
she's an emotionally invested
teenager. She's still the kid. I mean, she still has like that. I don't know. It's like she still has that naivety where it's like, oh, I'm going to save them. She's like, oh, I'm not going to let y'all walk away with my friends. Look at the kind of stuff that she's had to deal with the little bit, she's been with them. I mean, it's she's got this dynamic of family, because that is her family, and that's why it's so ironic that she's delivered back to the Kaminoans, and it's like, I'm kind of done with that. I've kind of built my own little life over here. I'm kind of doing my own thing.
Yeah.
And I don't think she's really experienced loss. I don't think she really understands the stakes of what they've been doing, because they've been fortunate to get out of a lot of tight situations. And whether Tech is gone or not, I mean, I'm kind of of the thought also of, unless you see a body, I'm not believing it. Just because even though you have proof, like the goggles, I mean, that's not really going to mean, that doesn't really amount to much. I mean,
I've seen a lot of people wear goggles in this season already. So,
well, it's like
exactly.
Kev says in the chat. He said he saw a dude get cut in half and come back, which we all know the story behind that. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely possible. Look, here's my thing with.
And we have questions, mainly one, but definitely questions.
Right. Well, let's just talk about that real quick. Like I definitely felt a little tug at the heart when I realized, because I realized before it ever, minutes before it happened, I'm like, okay, he's about to die.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's my thing. While I don't want him to die, I feel like you take away from the stakes and the severity of this show if you bring him back.
Right.
To be truly honest with you, like I hate it. I really do. but I feel like that's a good storytelling point. This beloved character, like, obviously the Donatello of the Bad Batch, that everybody loves, they're not everybody's favorite, but everybody loves him, sacrifices himself, makes the ultimate sacrifice and puts his team above him. And, I feel like if they bring him back, it takes a little bit away from it, because bringing him back to save the day at the end is just too cliche. It really is. It's just too cliche. I just feel like with the stakes in the show, it'll be a little more real and it'll set better with me if he doesn't come back. If Tech was lost for this cause, I hate it because I like the character, but I like the story better. For me, that makes him. I don't want to say he's not less of a hero if he comes back, but I guess if I had a choice, I'd want to die a hero's death. I'd want to die, like sacrificing myself for somebody else's life, saving somebody else. And that's kind of the way I'd want him to go out if he's going to die. I just don't want them to fake his death or maybe think he's dead. And then all of a sudden come back from this miraculous fall, which they're going to have to explain also, by the way. You can't just bring him back and not explain the fall. That's going to piss me off.
Hey,
but
I don't think that he is. I don't think he's gonna be coming back. Like I'm not a firm believer that he's coming back. I'm just saying that like no one's dead until
Oh no,
there's a
I get it.
tombstone
And honestly, you're probably right. He probably is coming back.
something, right?
Yeah. He said, but I think they will because they had the goggles of him. Yeah, and they had the goggles of him. I mean, like I said, I'm willing to bet they're going to find him. When they find Crosshair, they're going to find
I think that what
him right in bed beside him.
I think it's pretty cool.
You're cutting out. Your internet connection is not working good, sir. Anyway.
That was mine earlier.
Well, we'll move on a little bit. Sarah, what do you think? Like, what do you think about the Tech death? Like, I know you said there were a couple moments in these episodes that kind of pulled at your heartstrings. Was this one of them? Because it was for me. Like, I'm not gonna lie. When he was dying, I was like, oh no, that sucks.
Tech, his character, I mean, it's evolved over this season. I mean, it was, just look at the relationship with he and what'd you say, the pirate lady. It's just, I don't know. And like, as much as I would love for him to come back, I think it would kind of minimize or, his sacrifice, because I think as a character, he kind of grew like that. And plus all with the clones, it's like, they are a family, and then you are sacrificing for the whole. You are sacrificing too, because, if he didn't do what he did, they would have all,
right, died at that
perished
point.
or whatnot. So, I mean, it is their little clan, and, they're, fighting for each other and all this kind of stuff. And that's why Omega was doing what she was doing, thinking she could go on with her little bow and just save the day. But yeah, it's just, yeah. And then that doctor bringing in those goggles talking about, oh, here, there you go. I was like, if Hunter don't take this Hunter's about to take this dude out.
Hemlock is slimy. Yep. Yeah, Hemlock's his name. Yeah, he's a slimy motherfucker. So, Kev brings this point up in the chat, Order 66 and Order 99. Actually, he says Plan 99. The name of the episode. Plan 99. The last thing Tech says before he cuts the rope. What do y'all think that means?
They are
Plan 99.
I mean, it's like the end, like the end all be all. Because they are the, they consider themselves Clone Troop 99, like they are the, if there is an end, then like that is the thing for them. I thought that it was cool that they buck against trends, and they didn't have Wrecker, or they didn't have Hunter be the people that like made the sacrifice. I thought that was cool that they went with someone like Tech, the person who was in the position to, I mean, nowadays nerds are cool, right? So when you put someone like Tech in charge, and he's the one making all these calls, and he definitely has, whether or not some sort of on the spectrum diagnosis or whatever, his anxiety is towards people, like they're showing that in a degree that is different, I guess, than it was when we were growing up.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't really have that. You always had the person that was willing to make the biggest sacrifice call. So
Yeah.
it's interesting to see now that he's the one that is put his life on the line. And so Plan 99 being the one to where it's like the plan is that everyone else survives and one of us has to die.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we'll see, man. And it's funny because like Tech is kind of the Donatello of the group. Like I was saying, he's the guy that nobody wants to say is your favorite, but everybody loves.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, think about it. When you're asked who your favorite Ninja Turtle is, nobody says Donatello, but everybody loves Donatello. Like
True.
Donatello's cool. Like he could definitely be my wingman, my number 2. And I mean, honestly, purple's my favorite color. I like scientific stuff, even though I'm not very smart. I could roll with Donatello, but I'm more of a Raphael type guy. I'm more of a hothead, like hit first, ask question later type guy. So I got to relate with Raphael a little more than Donatello on this. But yeah, that's kind of the way I look at Tech. And they also set it up very well for him to be gone or him to be lost. And I didn't realize it at this point, but as soon as they have the moment of him saying goodbye to Faye,
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
like that's like, okay, he's not coming back. I should have realized it right then. He's not coming back. It took a few more minutes, but I was like, yeah, he's not coming back. So we'll see what happens with him, man. But let's talk some more about these episodes.
Talk about, okay. I got 2 things that have stood out to me all season.
Good.
Why is Omega so important? Right? Like that seems to be the big thing. If she's the end all be all, then why is she so important? But the other thing, which is less, I'll circle back to the first one. The other thing is you see the Bad Batch constantly stunning everyone that they hit. Not just the Bad Batch, Echo and Rex and that crew. Like you see all the clones basically saying, "We're not here to kill people. We're going to basically take them out because they're in our way." That's very important because you know what? Like we talk about it all the time. Like killing is permanent, right? And so you reached a point where Saw Gerrera showed up, which talk about that.
Yes.
Where he showed up and his whole, incendiary clique is just ready to blow this place up. But they have no problem shooting to kill.
Mm-hmm.
And now we've taken what was a group of people that were cool with just getting things done and stunning everyone else, get out of the way, and like let's make this happen. To like now everyone is on full blaster fire and they're
Right.
killing. They're killing people. Like we've crossed that threshold in these 2 seasons, in these 2 episodes.
Question: do they only have the different color blaster fire to identify who's shooting who?
Well, kind of, but
Like, have you noticed that there's always 2 different colors?
it's
always
colors
red-
and
it's usually
shapes,
red
right?
and blue. Yeah.
Like stunning is circles versus like blaster fires,
Yeah.
like straight lines, and then there's red or blue. So yeah, it's definitely a visual cue. But I mean, I don't know. I think that killing versus stunning is such a major thing that we don't talk about because we don't have that ability. Like now, right in our own lives, we have people who have stun guns and what else do you want to call it? What are the barbed electrodes?
Oh, tasers.
Tasers.
No, not
Yeah.
tasers.
So we have non-lethal means of actually taking people down, and then we have lethal means of killing people, and that's what the difference is between what was the Bad Batch and Rex and Echo and everyone else that was trying to make a change and trying to dig these clones out to help these people out versus like what everyone else was trying to do. It's like kill the Empire. Like you had 2 different mindsets, and they completely converged in these 2 episodes. But at the finale of the second episode, you had this girl who has been a thorn in my ass ever since she showed up to be Omega's sister. What is this?
So she says, allegedly.
So she says.
She says.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, it makes you wonder why, even more, if they have her sister, why they would eat her so badly.
And why there would be more than one woman clone. Why there would be... I feel like, the Kaminoan captains would have been able to actually identify her. I feel like there would have been a whole lot more to go into it, and there's not. So, I mean, once again, we need that third season so we get answers to all these questions, because I got questions.
Well, it feels like what they're setting up for is for Omega to be
Not
like
so mega.
Yeah. Well, the
Well,
reason that Palpatine is able to be cloned.
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like. Because you just heard, I can't remember the Kaminoan's name. It sounds so funny saying Kaminoan because it sounds like I'm saying it wrong. Yeah, it's so funny because like you see her and it's like, well, what he's asking is impossible. And then all of a sudden we have Omega and everything changes. So it's like, well, what does she possess?
I meant
that is so
improbable.
important?
I know I
Right.
said
Right.
impossible, but that's a real strong word.
Very
What I meant to say
unlikely.
was improbable.
Yeah.
I need you to
But
fix
yeah,
that.
I mean, Bad Batch, I think all in all had a really good season. There were a couple episodes that I felt like were kind of fillers, but they quickly pulled it out of that. They had some good storyline about everything they did. Also, let's talk about Sid. What an asshole.
Oh, screw
Yeah,
Sid.
screw Sid. Like, what an asshole. Like, I didn't like Sid right from the beginning, and especially now that she's the one who's giving them up. Like, what a dick. Like,
Yeah.
can't
Yeah,
stand
you go sit
Sid.
there and say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I had to do what I had." Bitch, bye.
Does she
Nah.
get a redemption though? Because they
Mhm.
did show the one shot of her being sad. Does she get redemption?
She
I
knows
mean,
she's
That's gonna be
wrong.
the
probably,
question.
unfortunately.
Yeah, I think she will, because in this world nobody's a bad person, right?
I
Well,
mean,
there are
I
bad
hope
people,
that they kill her. And I don't say that about many people, but it's an animated show, so I don't mind.
Look, Kev says Michelangelo all day. I think that's most people's answer. It's probably Michelangelo. Like I said, I just
Yeah.
feel I'm a
Well,
little too hot-headed for Michelangelo, so I would probably get in a fight with
I do like
Michelangelo.
Michelangelo.
Yeah. And then Kev asks if she's a clone, right? Yes.
See, I tend to be more like
She is a
more
clone.
Raphael.
See, Ross, I'm not gonna lie, man. I've
We
known
have
you
a
my whole
theory.
life. I look at you more as like a Leonardo type person. Like, if I was gonna pick a group of 4 people,
Oh.
and I was gonna be like, we need a leader, I'm pointing to you. I'm like, this guy right here. This guy needs to be the leader. Like, but yeah, I mean, I get it. Everybody's got a little Michelangelo in them. That sounded weird, but
I don't. Maybe that's why I like Michelangelo.
yeah, I mean, he's a fun character. All right, do you have anything else you want to say about Bad Batch? We got season 3 coming up soon. I don't know when, but I'd assume that there's going to be a season 3 because there was no point in ending this series on what they ended on. Big cliffhanger. I like the way it ended. I'm going to hate the way it ended if there's no season 3. Let's put it that way.
Oh, I would assume there probably is, but
yeah, I would assume so.
Go to the next comment.
Next comment. Oh, sorry. Let's see. My theory is Omega has metachlorians and her name is Omega, which I believe has a meaning of power. Maybe. Yeah.
Are we going back to the whole, like, there needs to be the Force? A lot of people believe, like, there's a whole massive camp of people that believe that there is an entire universe between the normal Joes and the people that actually have like Jedi power. And so if metachlorians are if this whole idea is a real thing, then there has to be varying degrees of like Jedi, like force sensitive beings, right?
Right.
So I can't say that I believe Omega is one of them. I do believe, however, that there has to be, it's not all or nothing. There has to be some, or it makes no sense.
Right.
They haven't set the rules of the universe out perfectly enough to give us an idea that it's all or nothing. So I would like to see if Omega has some sort of capability, but at the same time, in my mind, she's still just a teenager trying to, figure life out. It's, what was it? Blink 182, like no one likes you when you're 23. Like you gotta be able to get car insurance on a rental before you really start making your way, right? So
yeah, that makes sense. I don't know. We'll find out soon enough, I'm sure. Cover Bad Batch season 3 that comes out, but for now we're gonna go close the book on Bad Batch season 2 and just wait and see what happens. Y'all want to stay in Star Wars universe? It makes sense, right?
Yes.
All right. Let's get into some Mandalorian, because I know, like I said a couple weeks ago, I was saying this show is kind of losing me. I'm not liking it. And ever since then, it has been fucking fantastic. I love this week's episode for a number of reasons. Few cameos and this and that as well, but great storytelling. And I love where they're going with this. I do want to talk about a few things within the episode as we get into it, but just overall thoughts. We'll also start with you this time. What do you think, man?
appreciated the whole picture. Like, I was like, I haven't seen it yet. My day's
That
been
was
bad
why I
enough.
asked. That was why I asked
I've
the
been
question
raked
the way
across
I
the
did.
coals.
I was like, did I just see the person I thought I saw? I was like, okay, that's not spoilerish.
I didn't get a chance. And
Yeah, I went there. Sorry.
Yeah, you did.
all
Oh,
good.
you just wait. I'm gonna Picard you so hard. I don't know an adjective or a
What?
verb for
What?
That sounded kind of dirty. Yeah.
I know, it's like, wait a
that.
minute.
I was happy. Like there were. Okay, I think I don't want to say my biggest takeaway, but something I appreciated the most was I really hated in the last episode how they made the Mandalorian seem like they were just out playing, just pissing in the wind, shooting shit into the sea. No wonder alligator monsters are coming up after you trying to eat you, because they're just shooting rockets and playing with their this and that, and they're just out there doing the world's worst Mandalorian exercises.
Right.
I felt
Training
like
for
that's what
nothing.
that's what it was bringing.
Yeah.
And so the exact opposite was happening in this episode. I knew the pirates were going to come back because they had to, right?
Because Disney, and they've got to use those Pirates of the Caribbean costumes at least one more time, right?
Yeah. I mean, what are you going to do with it? And so when you got Moss Face, and I don't believe that there's any way that you're going to be able to turn that into a good story. They bring him back to die, essentially, is what they do, and I'm okay with it. Just do it. I just really like the small things that they did in this episode. The director pilot they brought back, they give him a plot line, someone who had a fill-in episode in season 2. I'm not even sure what season. I'm pretty sure it was season 2. But they bring all these little itty bitty tidbits back, and then they make them make a little bit more sense. So they just give them legs that they didn't have underneath them, and so I appreciate all of it, and I like that the payoff for the things that I sat through last episode, both Mandalorian and New Republic, had more to go on this week. So was that what
He said you gotta wait. You said so hard. Okay, I don't understand what he's saying right there, but yeah,
I do.
Okay,
I got you.
Sarah, what do you think? Overall thoughts, Mando so far for this week?
This episode really kind of pulled together kind of where I was hoping it was going. Ross, I know you were saying with their little exercises from last episode, it just seems like it was a free for all. I mean, they're out there just kind of doing their own thing. There's really no leadership. They don't really. You can say that this is the way, but they really didn't have, like I said, no direction. It's kind of like we're out here, we're just kind of doing our thing. but
This is
there's
the way. No,
nothing
this is
that
the way.
really.
This is the way. This is the way. This is the way.
Yeah,
Like, we're just going,
exactly.
what are
So
you
that's why
doing?
I felt like, this episode, it really, it's kind of pulling it back in to where, and I had even made the comment about the armor. I'm like, okay, lady, you're out here somewhere. But she kind of reined it back in too, especially with her
Hell yeah.
saying, "Do you respect my station?" It's like, oh damn, she is flexing right there. She's like, you can listen to me because I'm up here. And now we're trying to get that hierarchy in there. But
Now take your clothes off. I mean, your helmet off.
Right.
Shit got weird all of a sudden.
Can I say the
But,
armor was
but no,
badass?
I mean seriously,
Yeah.
especially the armor, because that's one of my favorite characters. I love this character. I like where, how she, like I said, her station within the Mandalorian culture. She's not just, literally, the armor.
Uh-oh. Freezing
To
up.
put everything together. I mean, there's a reason why she's doing what she's doing, and it sounds like, and I'm not really up to speed on the Mandalorian culture. I don't know who the higher ups are, that kind of thing. But obviously, she's got a pretty, high. She's high up on the echelon. Especially taking, the fact that, she did things for then as far as like, reforging like some of the Beskar pieces, and so now he's basically wearing all Beskar. Even with Bo, taking she's like, oh, you need that epilot, you need that fixed. And so she's like, oh, okay. So, and that kind of thing. And then even,
Grogu,
making the little,
you need that pimp chain. I got you. Don't
yeah,
worry,
exactly.
Grogu.
Right.
Even making his little piece. And it's just, and even as she's making this, as she's forging these parts, no matter how large or how small, she's giving like a little meaning behind it. So you can tell, she's knowledgeable with what's
I
going
said
on.
this. She is hammering out life lessons. This is exactly what I said when
Yeah,
it was
exactly.
happening.
I
I'm
mean,
like,
seriously. And even in
this
this
chick is
episode,
hammering out life lessons.
and even this episode when she's talking to Bo, it's where she's, remembering, like with the forge, hearing the hammers and stuff. And can we say my girl can throw a hammer too?
Yes, she can.
Oh,
I was gonna
shit.
say that's the most badass part of her this episode is coming in and using only her tools. Only her tools. And
that's
Which is
no
not the
joke
first
of
time that
her
we've
coming
seen
in.
it.
I mean, she was
but-
like stealthy.
yeah,
I mean,
Yeah.
like a ninja.
she's badass. Okay, so we get a little bit of storyline in this one with kind of where the New Republic's at, because the New Republic even says that this Navarro is not part of the group. They're not sanctioned. And we have so many requests already from planets that are already sanctioned against this. So why we go for fight pirates for this city? And it was kind of crazy that the Mandalorians came in there and just dealt with it. Like it was nothing. And I get you're trying to establish some dominance of the Mandalorians right here. And now they have a home. But it was crazy. They just came and did that. And you kind of see, like I said, where the New Republic is at with who was the comedian that played the role?
Tim Meadows.
Tim Meadows. Yes. Great casting.
Wreck
Great
officer.
casting,
Wreck officer.
He played that role perfectly.
He looked like a typical, paper pusher where he's like, what do you want me to do? I got all this other stuff going on. Do I really have time to do this?
Yeah, he did a really, really good job. So I want to go to the end where she does tell Bo-Katan take her helmet off. And I think it's funny that like this entire time, everybody's like, this is the way. Don't take your helmet off. This is the way. Don't take your helmet off. And they see her walk out with her helmet off, and she's like, she said it was cool. And it's like, oh,
Yeah.
okay. We all didn't
Yeah.
die. Look at that. She took her helmet off. She didn't die. I would feel like some of them would be like, well, wait a second. If she gets to take hers off, can I take mine off? Like,
I
that's the
thought
real point, though.
Paz was going to take his off. I thought they had me for like a good solid 30 seconds. I'm like, oh my God, he's going to take his helmet off. We're going to see Paz Vizsla's face. Like, this is going to happen. And then it didn't happen. And I was actually kind of sad about that.
Yeah, I was too. And they blew the opportunity. I thought they were going to use the bathing in the water as an opportunity to show Pedro Pascal's face, but they didn't. So it's interesting. I guess Bo-Katan's the only one pretty enough to take the helmet off. which okay, I'm cool with that.
Well, I mean, her hair is always like ready to go with that helmet
Her hair is
off.
perfect.
So.
Yeah. In that helmet, her hair is perfect. I'll give you that.
Go ahead, Sarah. You got that look.
And
Like, how's that shit
the
happen?
point is-
How does that shit happen?
well, it's like, kind of, I think I was kind of talking about this last week. It was, she's walked both paths. And that's why I was like, this was really cool. And this is really where I wanted it to go. The fact that, especially when Armor, I'm saying, with this is sword, I thought I was all, mythical creature, but you saw it. Oh, so maybe that means it's a sign.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Last week,
so,
she almost ignored it.
Yeah, she's like, you saw what? You're crazy. No, lady, you didn't see that. That's mythical. That's
she had to
just,
process
story.
it. That's what it was. She had to process it.
Maybe she had to
there
throw
was-
hammers and
Well, there was no further evidence provided, so I don't know what would have changed your mind. To
me
be
neither.
truly honest with you. So, 10 asked if Bill Burr is going to come back to the show. Was Bill Burr the pirate?
No, Bill Burr was the guy from the last season. He was part of the. I don't remember the guy with the long hair's name. He was in Batman Begins. He was the one eating the falafel. He showed up last season, and he was like, the runner of the crew. Like, he could get all the bad people together. Bill Burr was one of the guys that Mando did a job with, and that was in the scene where Mando had to take his helmet off, even though he was wearing like a.
Yeah, that's when they were on that transport, because I think Bill Burr was like his character, where they were talking about how, because I guess he used to be a stormtrooper.
Yeah,
correct?
I think he was. Well, maybe. Shit,
Because-
you're gonna intermingle too much of my damn useless knowledge right now. I do
I'm trying to
believe-
remember back.
Look, I'm pissed too. If I'm a Mandalorian and I see Bo-Katan walk out without her helmet on, I'm pissed off too. Not because she doesn't have her helmet on, because it's like, well, what the fuck? Can we take our helmets off too? Shit.
Yeah.
Like, I would love to have my white pale.
I got all this acne going on
Like-
because you guys won't let me take this sweat-ridden filth off of my face.
I look like fucking powder because you make me wear this damn helmet all the time.
No
Like,
shit. Like, let's get a straight up beach tan. Like, let's let our kids walk around and feel what it feels like to play in the sunlight. I'm like, they're not playing in the sunlight, Mando. I don't know what you're thinking. They're wearing masks and all this body armor. They're not playing in the sun.
It's like, whoa, she took her helmet off and I still want to fight for her just as much as I did before. What the hell? Who would have ever thought
Because she
that?
walks
Wait,
both
no.
paths.
You know?
She can bring them all together.
Where's the guy that's like, that's a woman? I never
Right.
knew this whole entire time. She was wearing a mask.
Well, this one knows what one is, because I mean, he not unless he adopted that kid.
Yeah.
But something had
True.
to come off at some point.
Which begs to ask the question: do Mandalorians have sex with their helmets on? Is that the protection?
Well, is that
Or
the
it's
only
just
thing?
pitch black dark.
Can you take the rest of the armor off? Can you be like totally naked and just have the helmet on and still be within the code?
Dude,
Yep.
I swear that's what Dan was going to do when he walked down to those waters. I was like, this cat is going to strip down and just keep his helmet on.
If that's the case, man, you better be helmet banging like football players. Like,
Straight up
banging helmets,
robot
you know?
chicken. I showed up in like my birthday suit plus helmet.
Yeah.
And like, now that I got my helmet on, if we're not banging, I don't know what we're doing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, okay, two things I want to point out about this episode. The pirate ship looked fucking awesome. I love the way it looked. Really, really cool looking ship. And the scene where he is on the intercom, and it's like that Star Wars never worked for some reason communicator, where the hologram.
Keeps breaking up. Yeah.
Yeah, looked badass. I was
Kinda like our
he
internet.
looked badass right there. Not so
True
much
that.
when you see him like in real life, but right there he looks badass, and I love that. I'm trying to think what else with this episode. Mando's a
Zeb.
badass pilot.
Now, to my
Oh,
point,
yes.
I did not think that was really him. I just thought that was like just another a libret. I just thought that's what it was. I was like, there ain't no way in hell they can't. But I'm sitting there like, no, it's not. It can't be. It can't be. And then of course now look, and I'm like, oh shit, it is.
I do love old boys like at the end when the ship's going down. He's like, oh well, Captain, it's been nice knowing you. I'll catch you later. I'm out. Like, all right, it's going to be a recurring character. I can almost guarantee it. What was the last point I wanted to bring up? There's only one point I want to bring up with this, and it was going to be fair game for everybody else. But I can't remember rough top of my head.
I do have to say, number one, when they did the back, like the zoom out shot, when they had Zeb and old X-wing pilot in there, it did not seem like he had his backward kneecaps, which, you know, always weird. Look, ever since I saw The Arrival, when did The Arrival come out? Like 94?
Like 94, 95.
Oh,
yeah,
God,
I remember
yeah.
The Arrival. Yeah, that hurts my
Ever
knees
since I
thinking
saw
about it.
like backwards kneecaps, like I've
Mhm.
never been right in my head. Like that has completely screwed me up to a point that I'm
Yeah.
just not comfortable in life. And when Zeb had them, I was always like, that. Why do they have to make that choice? And when they actually showed up and they had that scene where they were zooming out from the bar, he didn't have backwards kneecaps, and I'm like, that's not real. Like, you know, like that's the one thing that took me out of it. I'm like, that's not cool. I probably shouldn't be that kind of person, right? Like, I probably went a little too far on like believing that. But the only other thing I want to talk about was the talking stick. We're gonna have a group of Mandalorians sit around and have conversations together, and they have a talking stick, and the talking stick is the armorer's hammer. Where it's like, if you don't have the hammer, you don't get to talk. Weird.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's actually a pretty good way to determine who gets to speak and who doesn't. But most people wouldn't follow that. Well, real quick before we get away from Zeb,
hit by the hammer.
Can I ask y'all? That's the same voice actor playing the character, correct? If not, it's damn close. Sounded the exact same. Because I actually didn't see. I wasn't looking when he first came on the screen. I heard the voice and I was like, "Whoa, wait a second!" And I had to look at it. And two,
I had to go back and listen to it again because after I heard that or I read it somewhere. I'm sorry, I am debeated. But
is it the same guy? He froze up.
Saw him. I was like, there's no way it can't be him. It can't. It could just be like another. But apparently that's him.
Well, here's my thing. Like, did they only throw him in there for one 10-second scene for fan pleasure? Or are we going to see him again? Because we know we have an Ahsoka show coming up with a Sabine,
and there
with an Ezra.
You go.
That's what I'm saying. So, like, are we connecting these two shows? Like, or not necessarily connecting them, but is that
I think you're chasing an ice cream truck.
Maybe. I don't know. But I know that Rebels is one of my favorite animated things I've watched in Star Wars. Actually, it is my favorite animated thing I've watched in Star Wars. I've watched it recently, so I'm up on it. And I want to see like these characters live action. And Zeb, I never ever thought I would see. And then bam, he just pops up on the screen. And not only did he pop up on the screen, but it looked fucking good. It looked really good. I could watch a whole show with that character totally CGI if it looks like that. That looked really good. I was super impressed with it.
I was not taken back. I was not separated. I did not have a problem with what I saw because maybe number one, I was so enamored with what I saw. Number two, like, you're right. The voice is the selling point on a character that you already know. Like, you can't fake what is there. I mean, you may be able to duplicate, but it may take, but Lord knows what. I didn't have massive problems other than the backwards kneecaps.
Yeah.
Of what was on the screen. And so I'm with it. Like, I want to see. I feel like they're definitely dropping breadcrumbs of where they're going to go next. I feel like they've been doing that for a long time. They've just been trying to. They haven't shown us what the biggest ones are yet. That's probably a better way of saying it. I know that they have it planned. They have to. I know that they do.
All right.
That's me putting a lot of faith in them. But at the same time, like, I know that it's there.
I hope it is.
I just
need
to see it happen.
I hope they have that right there and that's it. But so that does bring up my last point that I want to think about because I did think about one more. In the Friday free for all, I was asked if I thought that Sabine and Ahsoka were the ones who broke out Moff Gideon.
That's a good question.
And I was like, you know what? I didn't even think about that before, but if they're trying to tie these two shows together, that's a really, really good theory. Hence bringing in Zeb in this episode.
When you spring the criminals out in order to gain, it's chess. When do you sacrifice your knight for your rook, or vice versa, right?
Mhm.
And so I do think that is a completely viable question, and I do think that if they're playing that kind of Star Wars mind chess, like I'm on board with what's going on, and I do think that they are. Like I feel like they've felt like they've needed to right the ship long enough to make these type of decisions with the content that we're getting right now. So I'm on board. Like I'm not putting all my I'm not betting on black. Like I'm not putting everything on. I do want to see what's going to happen. So I'm interested to see where we're going to go.
Yeah. I think that's a very interesting theory. I don't really know anything I could say that has any kind of basis to believe that's true, but it would be cool. It would be damn cool if they tied the shows together like that. So
I got some ideas, but I'm pretty sure that I try my best not to mention things that would be massive spoilers, I guess, is the best way to put it. Like massive spoilers. So I do keep my mouth shut on quite a bit.
So White Chocolate Espresso says he went to work at 6:20 this morning, flipped on YouTube. First thing he saw was a Zeb and spoiled the cameo. I was like, oh,
I feel you, bro.
That's why I don't pay attention to those kind of things. Like I'm telling you, I when I know it's out, I try not to look up anything that has to do with anything like that.
What if I spoiled you on anything,
sometimes
Sarah? What if I spoiled you?
All right, I'll get you back. Don't worry.
Game of Thrones.
Ross get you back.
Oh,
yeah.
I would like to say that is fair, but that's not
correct.
fair at all because you've only watched one episode.
But you it
to that point though, even if I saw that, there's a lot of things that I knew about, but it totally didn't spoil me because I didn't see what led up to it.
No.
That's
but you took that moment away from me. You took that moment away from me. I had a shitty day, completely 100% shitty day.
Okay.
And then I see a group chat and there's a picture on there, and I'm like,
listen to this. Here's the new rule for the group chat. Plan 99. When somebody types Plan 99, the response is yes or no. Plan 99 means you've seen this episode, like just the episode Plan 99. So that way we know if we need to put anything in the chat about that. That we know nothing happens. So Plan 99.
The one time I see something before you, how often does that happen?
I honestly, I'm always usually the last one to see stuff. So that's why I was like, oh, I'm sure everybody's seen this. And that's why I was like, did y'all see this character? Did I see what I thought I just saw? Because they actually never said it in the episode.
Yeah.
But it was up. You never hear his name. So if you don't know Star Wars, if you don't know Rebels, you would honestly have no idea who that character was. Like no idea. Because he's the only
That's right, Greg. That's why we said watch Rebels.
I did. I loved it.
Or
loved it.
Play Jedi Fallen Order because you have one of those species in that game too.
Cody says anything Kevin says is a lie. Plan 99 from Panther Pickle. Yeah, we were talking about that, man. That's the new saying here. Plan 99 to make sure we don't spoil anything. And 10 says, what's up, Cody and Pickle? So, y'all, we got one show left. Y'all want to shift from Star Wars to Star Trek?
I mean, it's only like a half a word shift. Let's do it.
Yeah, here, let's do it. Sarah, let's start with you on this one. Star Trek. Good episode. Not necessarily an action-packed episode, but a very informative one. I got a lot of story in this episode. What'd you think?
Well, you're getting you're getting those bits and pieces to start putting the puzzle together.
Mm-hmm.
It's I thought it was interesting, especially with the Batcth story, with what she was saying. like with the changelings and all that kind of stuff, because with the Dominion War, that was pretty wild. It was pretty brutal. But as far as, and now especially Jack, you're seeing all this other stuff pop up with him, and I'm just sitting there like, what's up with this dude? I'm thinking, first of all, whomever, I'm assuming it's the changelings now, they break into the station, and they, like we said last episode, they took Picard's remains. So now I'm like, oh my God, are you serious? And I'm thinking, Lord, are we going to have another Shinzon? What's going on with this? And then, of course, when they wake up Data, Lord, whoever the hell's in his head right now, and he's like, oh, Scimitar. I'm like, see, there you go. So yeah, this is an episode that we definitely need. I had another moment where I was just like, it's where you see Seven talking to Tuvok, and then as they're kind of reminiscing or
Space
whatnot,
Obama.
you hear, yeah, exactly. He kind of aged kind of hard, didn't he? But
he did.
And you hear Voyager's theme, and I'm just like, oh, here we go, another moment. But then of course you find out it's not Tuvok, and you're like, it's the bullshit. But anyways, and then of course the crew realizes the Titan that we're on our own. We got to figure this shit out by ourselves. Of course, then you have Crusher in there. She's kind of giving her 2 cent worth about the morality of it all. I'm like, well, they're trying to kill you. I mean, I get where you're coming from. Let's not destroy them because, kind of been there, done that with this whole thing. But for the most part, I mean, it's just adding more to the story of why Jack, why, I won't, and it's creating more questions and answers, but it is kind of answering some as we're going along.
Right.
So, yeah, that was pretty wild.
Yeah. Well, we learned in this one that they're trying to take Picard's body and his blood and John's blood. Is it John? No, not John. Jack's blood.
Jack.
And make a perfect Picard, or make a copy of him for the thing. I thought it was crazy because I don't know if maybe it was just me getting this feeling. Did y'all get the feeling that the changelings, their race of people, is actually being forced to do this against their will? Or maybe not necessarily against their will, but maybe they're not totally down with everything that's happening and they're being commanded that this is what you will do? Or is that just the head of the changelings telling them that? Because I felt like it feels like they're being forced to do this. Like they're like, no, this is not necessarily right, but you're not going to win like this. And they're like, no, you do this and do it now. And just don't ask about it.
Well, I mean, I'm kind of curious to find out who the talking head is, because I'm like, it's like the more I look at it,
and that's like what it's called in like the credits, right? It's the talking head. Like it's amazing. Like that's actually what
they don't want to give anything away. Yeah.
But like I said, it's like when Vega was giving her story about how how interesting it was that she basically took on the guise of her torturer, which that's one thing about Star Trek. There's a lot of psychology into it. You don't really realize it until it's like right there, and you've got this underlying theme, but then of course you
Vulcan mind fuck you.
Pretty good about that. Yeah, I mean it's you throw it out there, and you said there's a lot of mind games that goes on. There's a lot of strategy. There's a lot of strategy. There's a lot of philosophing as well. I mean there's just a lot of deep thoughts that come up. But but to hear her side of the story, and basically they're creating these changelings to infiltrate, to basically become spies. I thought it was kind of disheartening to hear that even after the war, and even though Starfleet had created the virus, he's like, hey, as a result, we created an antidote, to help. It's like, the hell you did, because it didn't make it to us. I thought that was kind of a twist, but I'm like, is that really true, or is that only for like one segment?
Right.
Because I don't know when the last time everybody made it to the great length to kind of find out what was going on. Not really
Yeah,
a great
I feel
destination
like that's a
spot.
thing. I feel like that's a thing that would happen in any scenario. You're gonna have, like if it's almost like I pick any of our wars that we've ever gone through, right? Um,
Hmm.
Sometimes people don't get the message, like the war has ended, and like you get that aftermath of like stupid shit happening. Here, you would have the scenario of, well, these specimens have already been taken, or you have what did there were experiments that were already approved, there were things that have already happened, like steps that were already taken. You reach that point where even though a war has ended and a cure had been given, or any of the end of segment storytelling elements would have happened, something would have progressed afterwards. And I
Right.
think that's what they're playing off of clearly in their
Mhm.
storyline. And I think that's it's mentally fantastic because it can send you spiraling in so many different types of directions. And in this one, you have someone like Batcth who is going to be a martyr for her cause, a martyr for her specific scenario. And it seems to be that she only answers to one person, and she has, essentially the putty clan behind her of all these other people that can survive blaster fire. It's not a big problem for her to keep progressing. And I love seeing that whatever she does keep progressing. We're not led to believe that there's something that can stop her. And I love the side twist of throwing lore / data / XYZ in there. But I also think that that's what makes it 3-dimensional chess. If you tell these all of this depth to it, these stories that intertwine and make one harder because it has another story added to it, it makes for fantastic storytelling. And that's why I said that towards the beginning of this episode of this show, that I think that Star Wars is definitely, or Star Trek is definitely playing a different game than Star Wars. And that game is, here's what I got. You watch it and you tell me what you think.
Right.
They don't, like, they're not here to impress. They're here to be like, this is my thing. Like, you enjoy it and you get to enjoy, whether you get to decide whether or not you enjoy it.
Star Trek did a good job of having a lot of lore and history written that was very rich in their universe, and then not hamstringing themselves to this having to be this. Like, and I feel like that's what
Absolutely.
Star Wars did. Star Wars went in with a plan of, this is the story. We have it written to a certain point, and then we're going to kind of go from here. Whereas Star Trek went in with, we're telling these stories, they all tie together. Then later on down the road, we can use all these things from these stories and tie other things together with it. And I feel like it honestly is ending up being a better situation than what Star Wars has done. I think, like, once again, for week 3 or 4 in a row, Picard is the best show I've watched on television. Just this episode was fantastic. I don't know a lot of things that kind of keep me on the edge of my seat, but this one does. And maybe it's because I'm not as big of a Star Trek fan, so I don't know necessarily as much of the history. But I think that's what makes this show so fantastic, is that you two, who are huge Star Trek fans, Pickle, huge Star Trek fans, can love this show on a different level than I can, but still love it the same way I do. I don't know as much about Star Trek, but I still love this show. Not because of all the Easter eggs it gives me and all the nostalgic points. It's just really well written and greatly and like acted out perfectly.
Absolutely.
So that's what's so great about this show. So we get it on 2 different levels. You guys get it on both those levels of it being a great show and the nostalgia points. I'm going in as a fan who didn't even like Star Trek before I came in, and I'm loving the show. So that's what's so phenomenal about this.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm just, it's. I love how you don't really you just build on the story as the episodes go. It's not really like not any filler, but there's like so much, especially with this season because it's kind of like the end of an era. So that's why I'm just kind of like especially when they start out, they're looking for Riker. They're like, is he, where is he at? Where's he alive? And so now I'm like, is he alive? I'm like, what the hell is
Right.
going on right here? Because that kind of freaked me out a little bit. I'm like, oh no, 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 no. This is not no. So but yeah, but the whole, like I said, with the whole data lore type thing, I don't know if I'm really excited about that aspect. It's kind of like the way Picard and Geordi are. They're like, dude, how many times we got to see this cat die? And now he keeps coming back. He keeps coming back. So I don't know how I really feel about that.
Data.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's I don't know. It's pretty wild, but in seems like every Star Trek franchise or whatnot, you're gonna have Soong woven in there somewhere, whether it's through him, whether it's through lore, whether it's through data, whether it's through B4, whether it's the 500 other million ones he's had before. That's the only thing that's kind of like really throwing me off on this whole season, this whole season right now, because I'm like, Lord of mercy, can you just let him go? Just let him go. I love him too, but just let him go.
Right.
But but I am liking
Yep.
the new, like I said, I am liking the new characters. I'm liking Jack. I'm liking both Geordie's daughters. I'm glad you're kind of.
Sydney.
I know I can't think of them off the top of my head either.
Yeah.
I know.
Oh man, let's hear that.
But yeah, I mean, I'm loving you're kind of seeing that, second generation type deal. I'm still hoping, fingers crossed, that Wesley pops up. I'm like, please, at some point, maybe he'll pop up. Because he is a traveler. I mean, he's not gone per se. He's just on another plane. Is that how you can describe it?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately.
Maybe he's just grown up a little bit. Who knows?
I say
Maybe
unfortunately
totally.
because it's difficult to say that like time is a plane, because why would you not show up in the times that make the difference? And like that, I go right back to Greg's problem with this, but Greg describes it in a different way. If time travel were real, then why would you not come back in the most impactful moments? And the way that I always hear Greg describe it is like the impactful moments make a big difference on how the rules of time travel work. And I get that, but it's like, why wouldn't you come back and make a change for the better? And if you are Wesley Crusher and you're going to come back and, Trump Jack Crusher or whatever happens here, where does that supersede Jack Crusher? Because Jack's messed up. Like, let's be honest, folks. Like, Jack is messed up.
Well, see,
His
that's what
whole
I'm kind of
entire
curious.
story.
Like, yeah. Like, where does it? Because I've kind of heard this. I've heard this story before of, Picard having a clone per se. I mean, we've gone down this road before. That didn't bode well either. So I don't know. I'm just kind of curious to see how. I'm not saying they're retconning anything, but I'm just kind of curious to see how this is going to play out, because, especially the cryptic things that Vedic was saying. I'm like, okay,
yeah.
so it's like, is it really yours? I'm like, okay, what? Because you don't really know the background.
Right.
I mean, is one night stand kind of went about your business? I mean, what else is going on here?
There has to be some sort of cryptic mess to that, right? Like number one, the character of Vatic is good. It's beyond good. Like it is very well done. She plays a fantastic role. I love what she is doing with it. Number two, the background that they gave her is like diabolically, insanely awesome. Like it's amazing. Like I cannot believe that what we're getting is you were a test tube in a world where we don't, you can't abort a baby anymore. You were a test tube. You were nothing except like they literally call you solids versus fluids.
Mm-hmm.
And like it is so amazing that we have that in the storyline right now at this day and age. But what is crazier is that she decided to take that face of her captive. She decided to continue on with what she had there. So now we're going to turn around and actually have her serve a higher being, and we're going to have her trying to capture Jack. I think it's great that they're hiding the reason why we need that. I think it's horrible because we are in, I think this was episode 7. So we have 3 more episodes before the finale of Picard. So what we're living with right now is essentially a possible complete game changer for Star Trek as we know it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I'm not as familiar with the universe, but I imagine that whatever happens in this going forward is going to change a lot of shit.
Yeah. I need to know more. I love that they're bringing in everybody, but I need to know how it's going to count. I need to know why everyone is involved and what the outcome is going to be. We have Riker, his wife. We've got Geordi, his daughters. We've got Data and his other 3 personalities that he brought on board. We've got Captain Shaw, which, like, dude, I hate you, but like, hope that you live. Like, I need Captain Shaw to live.
Mm-hmm.
I hated that guy to begin with. I absolutely 100% hated him. I need him to live. I need more Captain Shaw.
Yeah, I get that.
I need 7, Raffi. I need. I figured Worf may make some sort of like Plan 99 type scenario. There's so much that I am worried about how they're going to wrap up in 3 episodes that, man, I hope they do it justice, because I can only say it to this point in life right now. If they don't, I'm going to be so mad, because this is the end of Picard. This is the end of what we would essentially know the next generation to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I need them to nail it.
Yeah, I can get that. See, I'm not even as big of a Picard fan as you, but I can totally get that.
It's so much more than Picard, though. I mean, like that's the crazy part, Like Pickle was talking about Janeway. There's so much more than Picard in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Like it is.
You cut out.
Yeah, it's like the complete world. I mean, it's like all Starfleet. It's like everything is coming into it's like everything's connected, and you're starting to see how everything's connected. So it'll be interesting. It's so sad that there's 3. Like I said, it's so sad there's 3 episodes left, but man, they're gonna be good. They're gonna be good.
Yep, I'm here for them.
I concur. Well, y'all got anything else you want to say about Picard?
Wrap it up.
I hear you, man. Let's go ahead and wrap it up.
We're getting all the pieces to the puzzle, so
that's right.
Might give me more.
Well, we got 3 episodes left. We'll see how they wrap it up. Like you said, Ross, it's going to be interesting to see what they do with this story, but who knows, man? We'll figure it out. Well, y'all, I got nothing till next week. I think next week we're going to replace Bad Batch with possibly Agent Elvis. I'm not sure. We can cover the whole series. I know I've watched most of it. Ross watched most of it. Sarah, I don't know if you're going to watch it or not, but it's a good show. I'm not going to tell you have to watch it, but it's a good show. I'll check it out. But we might cover that next week, along with Mandalorian and Picard, as those shows wrap up. 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube. That is my 10 Tizzy says ask his question. 10. Ask Ross if the new if he's getting the new Star Wars game. I think you answered this earlier. You had the previous one, played it all the way through.
I had the previous one. I played it completely. Loved it. I'm gonna try to find a way. I'm gonna try to find the way.
It will be played in
find a
my
way.
house. Not
can
me
find a way.
personally, but it will be played in my house.
If I can get my
Promise that.
PS5 in my house between now and when it comes out, or even I'll probably get it after. Yeah, I probably will get it too. So it'll be fun. But
I don't want to give to like Xbox or PlayStation, but I may play it like on the I think it's the Xbox Cloud app. I may try to do that.
okay, I want to get
It's a
streaming
damn.
deck, man.
The first one was a damn
Oh.
good game, man.
It was. I mean, like I said, I only played the first training part of it. It was a great game for what I played of it. So, I mean, I really enjoyed it. I just haven't got around to get back to it.
So good.
I've seen the cutscenes. It looks really good. But
Oh yeah.
all right, let's go ahead and get out of here. I am the Bat Daddy 52. You can find me on Twitter. That's the handle. At GCS Podcast 1 is the show handle. Check us out. We're here live at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Fridays on YouTube. And then if I don't forget to post the show, it's on any podcatcher of your choice. So you're getting a double episode this week, last week's and this week's. So that's how I'm going to label that. Ross, where can they find you at?
I am no one at nowhere.
No one at nowhere.
You can find me here.
So nothing, nowhere, never again. Almost like anything everywhere all at once. Everything everywhere all at once. Right.
Yes, and the exact opposite.
Maybe. Gotcha. Sarah, where can they find you at?
You can find me on Twitter at My Little Kitten. That's pretty much it.
I hear you. We'll check
I'm
her
about
out.
to go off the
And
grid for a week. It's okay.
that's all right.
Get that vacation,
very
girl.
much needed. Very, very much needed. Well, I hope you enjoy your vacation. I'm going to be working all next week, but I got next weekend off, so we're going to have a good time. But folks,
and by the way, and starting off great because tomorrow is our anniversary. 17 years with Brian. So.
Wow, that's crazy. I'm 15 with Ashley.
Oh
this year.
shit!
Mm-hmm.
So
Wait,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
is that a Fool's Day joke?
Nope.
Oh, y'all,
Nope,
and
okay.
the 1st of April? Really? Wow.
It's
Okay.
real deal.
Well, congratulations.
Prove it.
17 is a big deal. I don't know too many people who are past where I am that are, like in my age group that I hang out with. So 15, 17, it's a long time. That's a really, really big deal. So congratulations to you and Brian, for real.
Yeah, because I mean, I've invested
You're
already.
gonna get
a
that
total
silver
of
soon.
about 23 years total.
Wow.
So yeah, I've invested a lot of time here. So
Me and Ashley have
We
been
really
married
like each other.
15 years. I've known her 15 years and 6 months. So yeah, that's how that worked out for me. But all right, well, let's go ahead and get out of here. And I guess until next week, everybody just keep striding.